Boom shakalaka. What's going on, everybody? Randall here from Crypto Love, and I am joined today by Roy Lee, the founder of RuffChain. What's going on, Roy?
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm
So
a
we
follower.
are we are across the world. I'm in Florida, you're in Shanghai, but we're interviewing today, and we're going to talk about RuffChain. Now, before we get into RuffChain, just let everyone know a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into blockchain technology, and just tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, great. Absolutely. I've been in this business for over 20 years. I was a programmer since I was very young. I graduated like 15 years ago. I started my first startup in year 2003. I was doing the affiliate marketing stuff. And my foundation was a software engineer. I'm focusing on cybersecurity. So I used to be a hacker. I used to attend all the conferences, all the major conferences like Black Hat, DEF CON, XCON, KCON, all the conferences. I've been the cybersecurity specialist. I used to be a consultant for very reputable companies like VeriSign, Trend Micro, and the others. So I've been doing RUFF for over 4 years, since 2014. I started building an operating system for Internet of Things. And then we extended our stuff from the centralized network to the decentralized network because it's more suitable for the IoT applications. Our technology has been adopted by Microsoft, GE, Schneider, Baidu, and some other major companies. So yeah, we are a profit-making company, and then we have a non-profitable protocols for all the things for blockchain. I guess for between all the major public mainnets for IoT, we are more focused around the applications, how to lower the barrier of the application development. So in long-term short, in RUFF is the easiest way to connect things to blockchain. We provide the very useful API, and as long as you can write web pages, you can write decentralized applications, and that's pretty much everything about RUFF.
In a nutshell. Okay, so interview's over. Thanks very much. Have a good one.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
okay. I wish it'll be that fast.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive that you already been adopted by Microsoft and Baidu. Also, you've been awarded some awards like the 2016 TechCrunch in Beijing and the Microsoft Innovation Summit. Also,
Yep.
I mean, getting support by Neo and also Funbushi Capital. So those are big names. So can you go a little bit more in depth into what is RuffChain?
Okay, for decentralized, I mean, I always want to talk about the ultimate scenario for the blockchain industry. So let's say, suppose everybody's using blockchain within like 5 to 10 years from now. Let's say 3 to 5 years later, we are using all the decentralized applications for the settlements, for power plants, for cars, for Airbnb shared or WeWork shared rooms. All these things need to be connected to the internet. And then those values of the things needs to be settled. You can apply transactions on this. For example, you scan the QR code, you can rent this room for 2 hours, and then you pay tokens or coins or a certain value, some certain value equivalent stuff. And all of these things will be done within like 3 to 5 years. But the problem is that it's not easy to find a programmer. It's extremely hard for a programmer to connect things to the blockchain. Let's say if we can see this is going forward, it should be easy for startup, for a product manager with engineers to achieve that by developing an application. Why is it so hard? Because when you're talking about IoT, first thing is that you need to connect real world things to the internet. And in order to achieve that, you need a lot of edge computing stuff. You need a module, a connecting module. You're facing protocols, drivers, embedded system development, and all these things cannot be done with only the application developers. You need a lot of infrastructure level developers, and in order to lower that, lower the development barrier, it's easier for we should build an abstraction and the SDKs for those people, just like the Ethereum. Ethereum is the easiest way to access blockchain. access the smart contract so far. And with the Ethereum, you can build you can deploy your smart contract within 30 minutes. And using RUFF, you can deploy a smart contract on the IoT things for within like 30 minutes. It's the same thing. So we need an Ethereum level user dev-friendly, user-friendly application development toolkit for the IoT industry. That's something that nobody has ever achieved before. That's why we're adopted by major companies, because those companies it's even hard for those companies. It's not easy for Microsoft to find many embedded system developments. That's why Windows Phone does not work very well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Microsoft is extremely good in software, but they're not really good in the hardware related stuff, or the driver developments, the infrastructure level, process management, memory control, and all the hardware solutions. They're not as good as the Samsung. Probably Samsung and Xiaomi, they do better, but not Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. Now I've seen in some videos where you have the two-wheel robot, and you have the night lights, and you have the sound activated light. How far are you guys in development in creating these things?
Yeah, I think for enterprise level software, it's still going to be like 2 to 3 years to go for enterprise level, because usually when it comes to the hardware stuff, the one iteration usually takes like 6 months. So it takes 6 months to release another version of your hardware related solutions. And then it takes another 6 months for the next version of the solution, and takes another 6 months. So usually it takes like 4 to 5 rotations, for the application or for the infrastructure level hardware solutions to be developed. So usually it takes like 2 to 3 more years to go. But we're currently at the very early stage it's fair for all the competitors. They are facing the same problem. But for us, the easiest thing for us is we are really doing we're doing well with all the protocols and the compatibility issues. We resolve the compatibility issues for the protocols, for drivers, for almost everything you needed for you need support for the hardware, and that's our achievement so far. And we still need some time for the next couple of versions of iteration, and we need to do a lot of testings. When it comes to hardware, there are a lot of invisible problems. I need to do a lot of testing. Same thing for your cell phones, for computers. Sometimes they need like 3 to 5 years of testing to release a new product. That's why you see that, your WeChat, your Line, your applications, you can find the weekly updates. But for iPhones now, usually it takes like a year for the new generation of the iPhone.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All right. So you talked a little bit about your competitors, or you mentioned your competitors. So there are other IoT platforms out there, stuff like IOTA or IoT Chain. So how would you say you contrast and compare with some of these competitors?
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised that they all dodged the problem that they have no clear definition of how the IoT decentralized application is going to be. So they in their design, they are all focusing on the blockchain, but they're not focusing on the how things are connected to the blockchain, or how they can build the abstraction to absorb the value of the things to the internet, and then apply the settlement on all those data. I think that we are the only, if you check our white paper, we are the only project that states clearly how we're going to resolve from all the signals or the data from the real world, from the connector, from the gateways, from the routers, and how we're going to process this data. And nobody else have to clearly state that. And other than that, I think IOTA is using a coordinator, centralized coordinator for their DAG consensus mechanism. No, they do have some advantage, like they can submit without the synchronization, but when they synchronize, they need a centralized coordinator to do so. It's going to be less secure, definitely, and it's going to be a major problem for decentralization. I don't think they're going to replace this within a couple of years at least. So IOTAs, I think they're kind of, and I checked their background. Their background is fantastic in the blockchain, but they don't have sufficient background in IoT. Believe me or not, IoT is extremely hard. I mean, the first network Coke machine was developed was invented by Xerox in year 1990. It's been 28 years already, and there's not so much progress in the IoT field, because this is going to be a lot harder. Like robots, like the network, cars, rooms, power plants, the manufacturer, the factories. It's not easy to connect all these things to the internet. I mean, it takes like 28 years, and still we have made the majority of our stuff we are constantly using. They're not connected to the internet. That's the problem. And I believe in the next 2-3 years, we're going to have a lot of engineering stuff to go to complete the implementation on the IoT itself, other than the other stuff. Like, I want to talk a little bit more about the abstraction. I mean, when we talk about a problem, the first thing we need to do is the abstraction. It's like for mathematical problems, you need a decimal digits and operators to solve all the, to generate all the formulas to solve all the problems. And and Facebook is the abstraction of your social network, right? I mean, but for the IoT and blockchain, nobody has ever described the abstraction, how things are connected to the blockchain, and what does blockchain do. And if you're writing a decentralized applications, what kind of toolkits, what kind of abstraction you're using, right? There's no Android, no Windows, no anything for the blockchain. That's why we provide an abstraction. It's not completed so far. It's not completed yet. It needs some time, some more time. But actually, we introduced something. So, but not like others. Those people, I don't want to say any bad words about those people, but they should introduce an abstraction. How they're going to resolve all the problems.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so you talk about connecting everything to the internet, which sounds great. But one thing we see with things connected to the internet is there's the malicious attacks, hacks, and everything like that. So you said you have experience with security. So how do you feel about everything being connected to the internet? How do you feel about security with everything being connected to the internet? Is that going
okay?
To
The problem, I mean, I think it comes with a few things. First, the thing itself. I mean, the thing itself, it should be relatively closed. I mean, you have to deal with all the data privacy, right? For example, like you don't want anyone to access your doors, right? Your room or whatever. So we are facing the authorization. It's all about authorization. So blockchain should be responsible for the authorization, for the access control. So in our centralized system, we have like a Active Directory. We have the ACL, the access control systems. But in the decentralized world, there's no access control for smart contracts. That's why Ethereum used to have a problem that cost them $30 million, because those 4 nodes for Ethereum, they can be accessed remotely. And with the persistent sessions, persistent sessions to be used by remote user, which could be a totally disaster. I mean, entire network was in jeopardy by then. And BM stated that they should have local bindings or whatever. I mean, this can be avoided by a proper design of the access control. And there are some other things like the symmetric keys so the keys or the private keys are not going to be disclosed through the internet, and they have the trust zones mechanism, and they have the IC level, really the very low level of the security. The security algorithms for their chips. right? So there's a lot of things. I mean, the network security, the security for the 4 nodes, the security for your wallet, for your phones, right? Your phones can get some worms or virus, and then you can you know, your wallet, where it's going to, you know, they can easily sabotage your wallet, right? And I mean, those things are, it's a system. I mean, I really don't want to say, okay, we're good hackers, so we're gonna build something that's secure enough. I mean, it's all about how the system is gonna be designed. I mean, problem for the EVM, current EVMs, that it gives too much access to the developers. You know, the application developers, they shouldn't have full access to all the coding for smart contracts. I mean, for Solidity, it's only a small portion of the developers can write really secure smart contracts. That's why we need to do a lot of accounting on the code. But for RUFF, we're gonna provide something other than the EVM-based smart contract. We're gonna have the API that you can. I mean, even if you're a crappy programmer, you're not going to write anything that you can easily cause any overflows on your smart contract code, and that's something that we're trying to build.
Now I just saw that you have a newer looking website, ruff.io, where people can go and start implementing code. Is it available where developers can go and start implementing their code right now?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we have a developer community over 15,000 already. It's been 4 years. I mean, we released our first product in year 2016, May 6th to 2016. And now we're getting more than 15,000 developers already. We had a lot of hackathons. We have a lot of people submitting their drivers, submitting their applications, their toolkits. So it's already an ecosystem for developers already.
And it's all programmed in JavaScript, so it's not very hard for people to transition, correct?
Yeah, it's like a Mickey Mouse style for programmers. A lot of people, they accused me for making it so easy, so stupid. Well, I mean, in my opinion, I started with C code. I mean, I used to be a damn good programmer. I mean, I'm trying to be humble, but I used to be a really damn good programmer. But I think that, you know, sometimes I make, you know, silly mistakes by using C code. JavaScript make it easier, way easier, and it's easier for anyone to write any application. So application developers, they should focus more about their requirements other than the implementation itself.
Awesome. So do you have your own blockchain? Like RuffChain has its own blockchain?
It's a public mainnet. So we're gonna release the mainnet in March 2019. So next year, early next year, we're gonna release our public main chain. So there's going to be a token swap. Okay.
And right now it's a test net?
Yes. Yeah, we have a test net. The test net is using we're trying to pack we're trying to apply the synchronization on the different nodes and make it secure and make it highly scalable. But we still need a little bit more time to find, you know, we want to avoid the hard fork when it comes to the massive concurrency control.
Okay. And you're using DPoS for consensus?
Yes.
Okay. Any particular reason why you chose that?
Mostly to, I think DPoS is the closest way to achieve the enterprise level, production level, decentralized applications. Although I'm a big fan of POW, I guess the POW is definitely more secure, and I believe that if we can apply some parallel execution or some sort of like caching methods, we're gonna increase the TPS for Ethereum by 10 times, and if we apply sharding, it's going to be 50 times of the performance, I believe. However, I mean, we can risk, you know, when it comes to the enterprise level requirements. So I can tell my clients that, okay, we're gonna resolve this using some equivalence equivalent mechanism as Ethereum, but it's going to take like 2 years, and we have to wait until the infrastructure is sophisticated. No, I cannot tell this to our clients. So the easiest way to achieve that is using DPoS. The problem for a lot of people are using the random, like RPoS system or whatever. The problem for that is that there's no sunken cost for comparing to POW. It's like if you're the chosen one and you're supposed to pack this block, if there's no sunken cost, you can easily do anything evil, right? You can easily do things evil. But for DPoS, no, we are if you do anything crappy or refuse to pack any transactions, we have the voting system that can vote you down. So you'll be banned from the system from being able to pack the data. So you'll not have the access to broadcast to the entire network. And I think that the DPoS is the way that apply some cost for the invisible cost for the packers, the miners. So if you do anything evil, then you're gonna be penalized. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we call this cost. And for the RPOS, whatever, I mean, if you use a random algorithm, you can never guarantee that if anyone do anything evil. For example, like if I'm randomly chosen by the system to pack the data, I can do something evil, and then if I switch to another account, then I can do apply anything evil again. So you definitely will want to avoid that. So it's like EOS, but it's not going to be that much like EOS. So we are using our own system, and we're using our own way to make it more secure for the network, and we're making it more decentralized than EOS, definitely.
Okay, great. So from listening to you, it sounds like solving the IoT problems is a pretty big endeavor, and you've not only got the blockchain to worry about, you've got people creating devices and all this stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about your team and your partners and how you're going to be implementing this in the future?
Okay, our team, I recruit people mostly from the Intel, NVIDIA, Honeywell, HP, all those companies. And the reason why we're hiring those people are we're not only we need the software developers, we need the infrastructure level, the very low level, like virtual machine designers, distributional system developers, all those developers, and those companies are the pool for us to recruit the people that we need. We have we only had the top 1% of people. So like if I interview from the phone interview, if I interview like 100 people, we can only recruit one. So the recruit percentage is like 1%. Mm-hmm. So we are very harsh to our developers. And for our partners, like for example, like GE, General Electric, and Schneider, those are the industry leaders for their PRCs, for their industry level devices. They're the devices makers, and they have their own systems. But the problem is that they lack the sufficient knowledge for the internet, and they lack sufficient knowledge for blockchain. So we complement each other, and we have something that they can never refuse to work together. And we're not their only choice, but we're their best choice. That's why we easily set a partnership with those people. And for Baidu, it's on the other side. I mean, Baidu, they're really good in the software level, in the internet level. They understand the internet and they understand blockchain in some extent. But their problem is that they have no idea about how those IoT stuff are gonna be built. So if they want to write any decentralized applications, and they are it's like a pain in the ass for Baidu developers.
Gotcha. So how does your token work in the ecosystem?
Our token is the utility token. For example, if you are executing a smart contract, like if you are apply a transaction, or if you are unlocking your one account, or if you are delegating the airdrops or whatever. So those are the so you need to execute the smart contract. And by the amount that you need to execute, and by the amount all the ledgers, all the miners, they're gonna require some of the storage and bandwidth and computing powers for in order to achieve that. So you need to consume the gas. So this resource, network resources, are priced with the gas.
Mm-hmm.
So RUFF tokens used as gas. You can issue your own token on RUFF. And if you apply transactions for your own token, like crypto love token, from one account to another account, you're executing a smart contract, and then you need to pay gas.
Gotcha.
And the gas is in the currency of RUFF.
Gotcha. All right. So what have you got upcoming?
Oh yeah, we're still trying to resolve a lot of technical issues for our next release, which happens on the August 31st, so the end of August. And after that, I believe that we're going to have a very, very private test network up and running for internal users and our partners, but not for the people from general public. And we're going to be open sourced in later this year. So all the people, they're going to see, they're going to have all the source code, and they're going to be surprised that this source code is not, like a clone of the others or whatever. This is totally legitimate and developed by ourselves. So I think that we're more focused on the technology, and also we're expanding our marketing to the other countries, like global. We want to aim the global market. So we're doing a lot of events in Korea. Korea has a quarter of the volume of cryptocurrency volume, trading volumes, whatever, and their investors are so enthusiastic about our project, and we are trying to find more business partners who can give us more user scenario in real world applications. For example, like some of the people, they're doing the power plants. They're trying to connect all their power plants, all their mining equipments to the internet, and then they need settlement because they want external investors. And how do the external investor trust them that you're generating power, or you're trying to sell your asset, you're trying to sell your asset-backed securities for us? I mean, this is something that the blockchain needs to be applied in order to make sure that those data are not editable, those data are legitimate, something like that. So we're still trying to find more partners, but we do have quite some partners, but we're trying to expand more business. Especially we're trying to find more partners outside of China. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have global partners.
Awesome. Sounds good. So last question for you. What excites you the most about RUFF?
Actually, when I started RUFF, I mean, it's a very similar story. When I was in Nokia, I was in charge of the SIM system. By that time, Nokia used to own like 70% of the market share. That was like 11 years ago, right? If you're old enough, you remember that. I mean, I'm not sure if you're old enough, but if you're old enough, you remember all those days, yes. Well, I mean, for an operating system level, for a platform for operating system level, or I would say like for the application ecosystem, Nokia was almost like too big to fail. It was for my opinion, it was in my point of view that was unbeatable by then. We failed. We failed because we failed to build the application ecosystem. We started early. Everything early, like 1 year earlier than iPhone, the iOS. We started 2 years earlier than the Android. Why we failed? We failed easily because we failed to provide enough sufficient services, sufficient tech support for all the developers. The developers, it's extremely hard to develop applications on Nokia. Although, I mean, it's supposed to be, the ROI is supposed to be the best for Nokia, because you can distribute your application to 70% of the market, smartphone market.
Mm-hmm.
Why those people failed? Because it's too hard. It's never easy. I mean, you have to you have to face all the signature problems, signature conflicts. You have to resolve it. You know, the compatibility with all problem with all the screens. But for iPhones, you don't have to worry about that, right? And the reason why we failed is the reason why I want to do this. I eagerly want to do this because I know that we failed, and I know how we're gonna succeed. So the key to success is to make it dev friendly. If I can make it dev friendly, all the other stuff, I mean, it's going to be similar as what I did in Nokia. But the only problem is that I have to make our stuff dev friendly this time. So that excites me most.
That is awesome.
It doesn't happen very often that you can do something. You can build some really great projects twice in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you fail the first time, then you never have the chance to do that. I mean, Steve Jobs had a second chance, right? Steve Jobs never came back to Apple, then he's never gonna achieve something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So twice in your lifetime, you have a second chance in your lifetime. God, you have to really be careful this time.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, that sounds great. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention on this live stream today?
Yeah, I want to, a lot of people ask me that how we distinguish the really good projects to the scam projects, how you can find it out, especially for investors. I mean, a lot of things, I really want to say one thing is, the past few years for blockchain are the years for the computer scientists. They have really good academic achievements. They can write algorithms. They introduce a lot of equations, formulas, ways to improve their data structure, their P2P network, whatever. But next few years will be the years for the engineers. You have to be more careful about the people who are building the middlewares, the tool chain kits, or they are doing some infrastructure level improvements for the current system. So it will be the more engineering and it be more improvement, other than you're trying to introduce something that claiming this is like the next generation for blockchain. Still academic level, no, it's not going to work. Yeah, pay a little bit more attention to the engineer-based projects, and that's something that I want to share.
Okay, awesome. Well, Roy, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.